Hi, everybody. It's me. It's Jay Light. I'm your host. Today marks a new chapter in Blockbusting. I am changing the format a little bit. It's going to be a little shorter. We're going to jump right into talking about movies that people hate from here on out. It felt like giving this thing a little shot in the arm and not talking about movie news up front so much and box office results up front so much, because the whole purpose of the podcast, this is a podcast where we love to hate the movies. So let's figure out what movies we hate. Let me know what you think of the format change. I think you're going to really like it, especially this first episode in the series with the wonderful Mark Ellis, who hates WALL-E for reasons that are beyond my comprehension until you get to the end of the episode, which you'll find out in a sec. So leave a rating. Let me know what you think on iTunes or tweet at me or whatever the fuck. You know, you figured it out. Anyway, enjoy.
Oh, let me tell you something. Busting makes me feel good.
New format. Who dis? Hi, welcome to Blockbusting. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me today, Mark Ellis.
So let me get this straight, Jay. You decide to wait until you have the host of a daily movie news show to change formats and go away from having movie news and box office results on this show.
Exactly.
You waited until you had the man who is considered an expert in his field, and you decided to ditch all that for this show.
I mean, look, I'm not saying we can't talk about it, but there's a reason the people are here for this podcast.
They're here to listen to us debate a movie.
And that movie is a movie that you hate for reasons that that truly escape me. I got to save my anger until
I was going to say, do you not want to do the show anymore?
I do. Oh, God. This is the most begrudging episode I've ever done. Mark Ellis, you hate WALL-E.
Yeah.
Why?
Not a fan of WALL-E.
Who hurt you?
WALL-E. It didn't hurt me so much as it just bored me to tears when I saw the movie, and I'm expecting a fun, light Pixar movie that's going to have some messages to it, but also, you know, it's going to be fun for the kids. There's going to be some chuckles in there. It's going to be some adventure, and all it really ends up being is just this poor, boring Johnny Five knockoff getting cock teased by an iPod for 2 hours, and it's just nothing fun happens in the movie. And I watch it, when I first saw it in theaters, it's funny, it was one of the first reviews that Schmoes Know had ever done. Mm-hmm. And I want to say, in that review, we had both, because back then we would have like comics, you know, like buddies of ours pop in and review the movie with us that weekend. And I think it was some combination. I think it might have been Sebastian and Steve Renazizi were both in that review with me and Christian talking about WALL-E.
Throwback.
I don't think Sebastian liked it either. And I think Renazizi thought it was okay, but like, we all went in there with the assumption that this was going to be like another Incredibles or another Toy Story or Monsters, Inc., where it's going to be fun and charming, but it's an animated Pixar movie. So let's get some good family fun here. And it just was this desolate wasteland. It was a lot more like Blade Runner than it was a nice, even short circuit movie.
Blade Runner-y. Now that you mention it. All right, let's back up a little bit. Let's take some wider scope of things here. So,
let's be cordial to each other first.
Mark is, for those of you who don't know, wonderful stand-up comic, the host of now an empire of podcasts and web shows and movie-related things. Truly an expert in the field.
We're a little city-state, you know. We got a good thing going.
You got a good thing going.
Yeah, we still look at our
tendrils.
I'd say we're more the rebellion than the Imperial Empire, but we're growing. And I host Movie Talk on Collider every day, which is why, you know, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff. I love talking about movies. And so we digest the movie news every day and stuff like that.
Right.
But Schmoes started when Christian Harloff and I, also a regular, you know, at the Comedy Store for years. Back when he was still doing stand-up, that's how we met, and we decided, like, hey, we love talking about movies, but we want to be just like normal people talking about movies. We don't want to be like, you know, highfalutin film critics, you know,
right.
With the film school that are just criticizing it. Like, we didn't want to be sitting up in an ivory tower, you know, looking down and saying, oh, that's what's wrong with this or this or this. We just want to have fun celebrating movies.
Right.
So that's what we did. You know, it was a good opportunity for us to like crack jokes on this new thing called YouTube. And then it just kind of evolved into what it is. And now we're, certified in Rotten Tomatoes and all that stuff. And, we actually influence some, measure of opinion out there, which is crazy to think about.
I remember I heard you guys on NPR one day. I'm a big KCRW fan out here.
Yeah.
I heard you guys on Press Play, and I was like, I know that guy. That's Mark. That's Mark Ellis.
Yeah.
So I was one of the first people I ever met here at the Comedy Store. One of the nicest gentlemen when I was starting out as a door guy.
You were a shining light in a cruel world, Jay. It's nice because you come here to the Comedy Store is like, or really any comedy club that you're used to. It's like your home, and you go on the road for a little bit, and you're not coming back as often. And then it's like a whole new crop of employees are here, and it's like, who the hell are these people? Who are the waitresses? Who are the bar? Who are these people?
Right.
And then you start to meet them, and you're like, no, it's another cool generation, and you're one of the now you're one of the hot rising stars of the Comedy Store.
Hey, thanks, man. Well, now that we've gotten all the pleasantries out of the way, what the fuck is wrong with you? Okay. So, Wally, I will agree with you on the most major point of your criticism of it, I think, which is that it is definitely not what it was advertised to be. Hold on. Hey, Mike, can you turn down the monitor? It's coming out super loud out of these headphones, and it's really distracting me. Okay.
That's why that's one of the reasons why I don't like wearing headphones is when we're doing podcasts and stuff is because I just don't it could get too loud in my ears. And Christian, when we do the movie trivia show, the Schmodown that we do, he will yell like the intros. Like when somebody's declared the winner, it's like, and your winner. It's just so loud in my ears, and I can't control it when I have the headphones on. So I always leave the headphones off.
My ears are very sensitive today. I got wax removed from my ears.
You actually
professionally?
Why?
I woke up and I couldn't hear anything out of one of my ears.
Really?
Yeah. I got real bad wax.
Wow.
So I had to use a little sprayer bottle.
Did you look at it? I would want to look at it.
Dude, I'll show you afterwards. I got a picture of it.
I want to see your earwax.
It's like a pebble. It's gnarly. So this movie is unlike other Pixar movies in a really, I think, distinct way. It's not a big family fun kind of movie. Pixar kind of made their name making these family fun style movies. And this is a really big departure. So what I liked about it was the fact not only I don't really give a shit that it was like a departure from other Pixar movies. I think that's a cool additional part of it, and I think that's why it got so much critical acclaim and was part of the conversation around adding 10 Best Picture nominees instead of 5 Best Picture nominees, that and The Dark Knight. I think what this movie does is it started, Pixar, we already knew they were the best kids movie makers in the business. There was no denying that. But this elevated what they were doing, I think, to a different level of filmmaking. To a
cinematic experience, yes. Mm-hmm. What Pixar did with WALL-E is an achievement. It's just not the achievement that I wanted, because I can be like you, and I can give this argument credit that you're giving right now, because I went into that, albeit with my own, ridiculous hillbilly sensibilities, that I see a cartoon, I want to laugh. That's how I feel. That's how I grew up, and it's still hard for me to this day to. And I know that there's a slew of anime fans that they love serious Japanese animation. They love stuff like Dragon Ball Z. They love Star Wars Rebels. It's a very serious, dark show, and I can appreciate the art that goes into it, the story crafting, and all that stuff. It's just that. If I see something animated, it's hard for me to process. This is a stark drama that really is it's the ghost of Christmas future for planet Earth, for what humanity is. I mean, WALL-E is nothing short of genius in that respect. It's just that, come on, man. If you're taking your kids to see this movie, they want to see cute WALL-E, and they're just going to be bored out of their minds watching this robot clean trash for 30 minutes, and nothing happens.
But the cleaning trash is so funny.
It's not funny.
Yes, it is.
It's just he's cleaning trash, and it's like you're watching paint dry, and then the only burst of energy we get in the first 45 minutes of the movie is when he turns on Hello Dolly for 5 seconds, and then Eve comes, and we get this new Alexa-looking thing, and it comes down, and it's just so. And then I felt like WALL-E in that scenario, where it's like you're aiming for someone that's just so far out of your league. Man, this chick, she's so technologically advanced. What's she ever going to see in me? And I think a lot of guys guys feel like that?
God, I mean,
You know?
I love that sequence where he's trying to really hone in and get her to like him, and it's very.
Maybe it hit too close to home for me, especially at that time. I was 25 when I saw it, and I'd been in LA for a couple of years, and just no luck with dating, or really, I was just starting to get my feet with stand up and realizing what I was doing on stage, and I think that all factored into it. And so when I look back on it, I actually had, and I'm going to give you a point here, because I was talking about this on a Rotten Tomatoes panel. I was talking about WALL-E and how I didn't like it, and a fellow film critic I really respect, Alonzo, he said that basically you can't look at animation as a genre. Animation can be any genre.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like, oh, it's an animated movie, so I'm going to put it in this pile here.
Right, yeah.
Animation can be horror, or it can be action, or it can be comedy. And I just, in my brain, the way I process things, I need something.
Your simple, childlike brain.
I need it to feel like Muppet Babies and Looney Tunes, Jay. That's really what it boils down to.
Did you grow up watching a lot of cartoons, I take it? A lot of, stuff that's going to make you laugh and stuff that's going to keep you, afloat and happy. There's not a lot of, I think making animation that is more, not necessarily adult, though certainly more, I guess mature is probably a better word. That feels more like a true, like filmmaking, as opposed to just like, oh, we're making goofy cartoons.
Right.
Well, I think that's a more modern thing. Like, I think, in America anyway, in Japan, you've got stuff like Kiki's Delivery Service and My Neighbor Totoro, and movies that have had more mature themes. Spirited Away, for God's sake.
Sure. I mean, a lot of the Miyazaki stuff, and when you watch those movies, there's deeper themes in it. But I could argue that Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote are about a lot more than just two animals, one that never has success. That's a great metaphor for life in general. But it's interesting that and as I'm thinking about it now, it's like that I want cartoons to make me feel a certain way, because when I was a kid, actually the cartoons I was attracted to the most were very serious. They were He-Man and Transformers and G.I. Joe. Not a lot of jokes in there.
A lot of action stuff.
A lot of action, and they sold toys well. And WALL-E definitely sells toys well. But I think that where WALL-E falls short, that a lot of other Pixar movies have achieved, is that you look at, there's some real deep stuff in a movie like The Incredibles or Monsters, Inc. Or Toy Story. And it's there in WALL-E too, but what those other movies are able to do is make me feel like a kid again. And WALL-E made me feel like a dying old fossil who's a member of a species that is about to be wiped off the planet. And it was a lot to take, Jay.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. WALL-E is giving you an existential crisis. That's kind of what it is.
It's unsolvable.
It's an unsolvable movie. It's a thing that even at the end, when you get the happy ending of, they figured out how to get back to Earth and they found a little bit of plant life that they can take back.
It's happy for the plants, and it's happy for WALL-E, and Eve. It's not happy for humans. We're still fat slobs.
No, post credits, they come back to life and they get skinny and they're good to go. Everything's cool.
Yeah, for a day, and then we start going back to Taco Bell, and we start poisoning our bodies again, and it just it's a scary movie. It really is. WALL-E is more of a sci-fi horror film, in my opinion, and I just didn't know that's what was happening. And you make such a great point about false advertising, because really movies will set us up to feel one thing, and certainly it's our own fault, because we see the Pixar logo and we walk in and we're expecting something, and we got something very different, in my opinion. The same thing why so many people started turning on M. Night Shyamalan when The Village came out, because The Village was sold as this monster movie. And when it turns out there's no monsters, it's just this blind person stumbling around in the woods for 90 minutes. We were like, what the hell, man? We just saw signs. We wanted aliens or monsters, and we didn't get that.
I think that, man, and I don't know what I expected going in to go see WALL-E, because I truly at this point don't remember watching trailers for it. I think
you were younger than me, obviously.
I was in high school. I was
in high school, okay.
A senior in high school when WALL-E came out. This was 2008.
Did you ever go through one of those phases where if you did, it probably would have happened around high school, where it's just like, you're with your buddies or whatever, it's not cool to go see animation movies, because you have that brief time in your life when everybody grew up watching cartoons, and then
Yeah.
suddenly you have to be more of an adult or be
Yeah.
more sophisticated, and that cartoons are for kids. And then you ditch that by college, and you get high, and you watch something that you saw as a kid, and it's got this whole other meaning to it. But were you like excited to see Wally? Did you see it in the theater?
Yeah, I saw it in the theater. I saw it with my girlfriend at the time, which was another little marker because it's got this great love story. And you're not supposed to feel for the robots, I don't think. In general, I've not found myself watching a lot of movies with robots in them and being like, oh yeah,
Great
I
love story. I mean,
totally adapt and understand how these robots feel. But it's a great love story. I cried, man.
I mean,
I did.
you're rooting for Wally for a little, but then after a while, it's like, dude, just give it up, okay?
But
You're clearly annoying the hell out of this chick.
But then at the very end, he forgets because he gets his memory wiped and he forgets her and she has to win him back. Oh God, it's beautiful.
It's stealing from Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind.
Hey man, is any movie not stealing something from anything else? What are we doing here?
It stole
If
from
we're
Eternal
boiling
Sunshine and Men in Black. It's just, let's go with the memory wiping device. No, I think that was necessary. But again, I think that's a little bit of my own jealousy as a guy in his mid-20s watching that movie and being like, God, I wish I got my memory wiped to this, this person that I was in love with or people I was dating or whatever. It's like, it all factors in there. And I just feel like if you watch, like there's movies that I like watching that will upset me emotionally and actually appreciate them for doing that.
Right.
Like Manchester by the Sea is one of them.
Requiem for a Dream, I think, does a really nice job of being a very upsetting movie that's hard to watch.
Yeah.
But a very good movie at the same time.
But because like I can watch a movie like Mystic River, right? And I don't intend on ever having kids. I don't ever think that something like that would happen to me because I'm not going to get attached to anything that I created. So, I can't really relate on a personal level to like what it's like to have my daughter or my kid go missing and end up dead. Like, so that movie I can watch from a distance and feel emotion about. But I think Wally was so up close in a way that I didn't expect it to be. Same thing with Blue Valentine. Like the Ryan Gosling movie where him and Michelle Williams, they're just in this relationship, just you're watching it crumble in front of you. And it's so upsetting. But I would rather watch that than watch some robot try and try and try and try and continue to fail because I feel bad for him. Then I want him to stop. And then I see all the fat slobs that have evolved or devolved from humans. And it's a lot to take in. So I will acknowledge that it was as much where I was coming from watching Wally as what the movie itself did, but I do blame a lot of that on the way the movie was sold as, the next Tickle Me Elmo, and it was not that at all.
Yeah, it's real. I mean, it's a movie that takes the idea of what Pixar and I think children's animation kind of as a whole can be and can make, and does this crazy cinematic sequence and makes it's a silent movie, and it's got this sci-fi horror element, and there's a lot of parts in there that are really funny. Like I think that I'm gonna disagree with you and say that the first 45 minutes there's a lot of comedy in those first 45, very silent film-esque kind of stuff. But then you get little visual gems like when they show off the captain of the ship at the very first, and it's a human, and it's a real like human's face, and then it cuts, and over time they're just getting fatter and more cartoony until it is just John Ratzenberger as a cartoon. Yeah, that's great. I love moments like that.
Yeah, it did. The movie did shift gears once you get to outer space. And it does change into something that's a little more classic, if you want, like the Disney lineage or Pixar or whatever it is. But I think that it just set such an odd tone. I appreciate the silent film aspect of it. And look, to be honest with you, I could go back and watch Wall-E. And because I've had a lot of people like you make these kind of points to me. You haven't
seen it since that fateful day in theaters when you were tricked?
No, I saw it again a couple years after that and still just didn't respond to it.
Man.
But there is something to be said for the matriculation of somebody who's in this business for a while. And, I watch movies now differently than I did 5 or 10 years ago. And I think that Wall-E is one of those movies that, I can go back and watch Ninja Turtle 2 Secret of the Ooze forever and love it. I can watch Young Guns 2 forever and love it. I could watch Young Guns 2 5 years from now. I'm not going to feel any differently about it than I do now.
Right.
But Wall-E's one of those movies that I could watch today or 5 years from now, and I could call you and be like, dude, you got me.
Take this episode down.
Yeah.
How dare you?
No. That's why I love these kind of conversations, though, because I came on here hating a movie. And as we talk about it, like, I never want to be the person that is just so believing that I am right and that you're wrong. And I know in my heart of hearts that I don't believe this, but I'm just going to act like I do just for the sake of being right. You know?
Right.
There's too much of that in this country, Jay, and we're not going to be part of the problem. Damn it. I will admit if I like Wall-E.
Let's talk about some of the more upsetting things that have happened in children's filmmaking since Wall-E came out. Also, which do you think was more jarring to kids? Pixar edition, the entirety of Wall-E, or the first 10 minutes of Up?
Up is like the scene in Indiana Jones in the Temple of Doom when the Mola Ram rips a heart out and shows it to him before he dies.
Rated PG, parental guidance.
But it does follow that classic Disney. I talk about it on stage too, where it's like there's a classic Disney tradition of introducing you to a character and then murdering them. In 5 minutes. It happens since then. It happened in Big Hero 6. It happened in Bambi. You know, at least Old Yeller got some screen time before they killed it. Bambi's mom just shows up.
Just
hey,
gone.
And then cancer.
Why do we like traumatizing kids so much?
I think that it's relatable to stand up in the sense that, you know, when you're on stage and like you think you just want to get constant laughs,
right?
Like, laugh. But there's something to be said. I think Steve Martin wrote about this in his book, Born Standing Up, where if you can set up tension and actually get silence for a minute, the next laugh you get is huge because it's a release of tension. So I think that Disney, you know, if I'm going to give them all the credibility in the world, is that they are setting up tension and they're making us feel sad so that we will go back up. Because the more down you go, the higher up it's going to be, and you're going to feel better because you're going to be soaring. You know, you're not just going to be up for 90 minutes. You're going to feel bad, and then you're going to go back. And maybe that's why, or maybe they're just like, hey, let's just torture kids for 5 minutes.
Maybe. I mean, there's something fun about that, I guess. The creating that tension, because it's not. I feel like a lot of the I can't remember the last time I saw a movie for children that's like mass market. Maybe I don't know what the Emoji Movie was like or anything in that realm, but I can't imagine that they have a lot of really like crazy tension building moments.
Yeah,
like
right.
What Pixar and Disney does all the time.
Yeah, like the kissy emoji.
Yeah,
you know, used to date the mean devil emoji. Like I got lucky. I was on the road and I didn't see that movie when it came out, so I missed the Emoji Movie, and I was very happy to do so. But with Up, I mean, it does make sense in the overall scope of the movie because if we just see Carl Reiner as this person that we meet him as an old person, then it's like, well, nobody cares about you. You're probably like an evil racist. You know, you're probably a terrible human being, have been your whole life. And so Up is like, no, there's a reason why he's like this.
Yeah.
And it's almost like you're watching, I liken everything back to Star Wars. It's almost like knowing that Darth Vader at one point was just this kid, Anakin Skywalker, who had dreams of being a good person and being a Jedi. Knowing that Carl Reiner had that backstory, it now gives us as the audience the insight to say, oh, okay, maybe we can turn him back.
Yeah.
Because some people are just born assholes, and apparently he wasn't. He became an asshole.
Right.
So we can get a chubby Boy Scout to come in and help him unbecome the asshole.
And a talking dog too, don't forget.
Doug.
All right. Which is more damaging and upsetting to kids? The entirety of Wall-E, or that scene that they had to cut out of the hit new movie Show Dogs, where they talked about touching a dog's balls?
I think that every kid needs to learn about touching a dog's balls. You know, you may not actually touch the dog's balls, but you need to know what's going on down there because it's gonna freak you the hell out.
Oh,
if you see the lipstick come out, if you see the red rocket, don't be like Cartman and beat it off out of them, but just like you're gonna see it. So just know it's a natural thing.
Right.
It happens, and get away. That's my thing. It's like, first of all, I love that I'm the co-parent of a female dog, Molly, because Molly, she's Dana Fernandez's dog. I just get to come in and be the stepdad. But she is great, and she's a female. And I don't want to see a dog's dick on a daily basis. It's one of the funniest things about all those Disney nature movies when they made the lions. When I'm walking in, I'm like, I can't wait to see lions. This is going to be so awesome. And as I'm leaving, all I thought is, man, every shot was lions' balls and testicles because they're all over the place. I mean, they're huge. This is nature, Jay.
Yeah.
They're not neutered. They're not fixed. They're walking around with just balls full of lion jizz, and they're just ready to shoot it. They're everywhere.
I've never seen any of these Disney nature movies that you're talking about.
So many balls.
So much lion balls. A lot of lion balls
Every scene.
coming this summer.
You know, the director's like, the lion's turning around. Cut. We can't show more. Dude, it's like 50 Shades of Lions. I mean, there's so many.
50 Shades of Maine.
There's tons of genitals in the Disney movies. There really is.
I'm sure you've heard about this show dogs fiasco that's going on right now.
Yeah.
God, man, how can you I don't understand how they're going to let that get through as far as it did, where they're like, no, it's okay, just go to your happy place, dog. That's what happens when you get touched, guys.
It's just
Follow through.
It's nuts. It is absolutely nuts.
It is. It's what it's all about. It's lion nuts. It's dog nuts.
It's
it's robot nuts. Man,
I did not know we were going to come in here and start off with Wally, and then I'm glad you cut the news segment out of the show.
See?
Because it gave us more time to talk about animal balls, which is why people listen to this podcast.
when I started this podcast 40 episodes ago, I was like, I need to talk as much about lion balls as possible.
Oh, man.
Fuck movies. This is what really is what I went to school to study for.
That's why that's my one complaint about like the Ninja Turtles movies is that if this was real life, you'd see a huge dick hanging from the turtles, and you think the mutagen didn't affect their, and maybe a turtle, it shrinks up and it goes in the shell somewhere, but like the turtles are literally pantsless.
Yeah, just like Donald Duck.
Donald Duck, where's the goods?
I mean, hidden in those feathers. But ducks also have that awful corkscrew dick, which just like it seems really weird. You're gonna have to spiral your way in. I don't want to see that.
No. I mean, I'm curious. Same thing with show dog. Like it's a curiosity how different animals kind of reproduce. Like when the first time you heard a pig has an orgasm in the last 30 minutes, it's like, holy, we should be eating these animals.
Yeah.
They got it too good. After you have a 30-minute orgasm, where do you go from there? You just
I wonder
call it
if
a day.
they make the pigs come before they kill them, just so that meat is nice and relaxed, like Wagyu beef. Like you massage it beforehand.
Is that a thing at Whole
As
Foods?
relaxed as possible.
These are cage-free eggs. These are free-range chickens. These are just climaxed bacon.
It's nice and marble. Oh wait, that's not all fat striping. Sorry, we got to cut a little layer off there. This is one thing, and now I'm looking at the Wikipedia page for Wall-E, which, again, critically acclaimed, got a lot of notoriety and a lot of Oscar nominations.
Sold a lot of toys.
Sold
Wally's
a lot of toys.
Cute toy. And Wally was kind of the de facto mascot for Pixar for a little bit.
Yeah.
Because...
And after that, Pixar came out, they had Up, and then they had Toy Story 3, and they kept topping themselves, I think, in terms of tapping into these really strong emotional stories. And Toy Story 3, I think, did a lot of that based on the way it harnessed nostalgia and the way it used the fates of these characters and how you weren't sure if it became a survival story for them, which is crazy.
That's a good question.
In a way that it never did before.
What's the more emotional crux? Is it the beginning of Up or is it the end of Toy Story 3?
Oh, man.
When Andy's going off to college and it's like, oh, man, then he grabs Woody to go to college with him, and Woody's going to see some stuff that Woody was never prepared to see when that kid goes to college.
He's going to see a lot of lion nuts. I'm assuming that Andy's mascot of the school is a lion. That's my guess here.
What if a mascot of a college, it wasn't even a lion, they just went for the lion testicles? The Stanford Lion Balls.
The Detroit Lion Balls.
That's pretty much what they
Hey,
are.
quarterback. While he was nominated, it won the Academy Award for Best Animated Feature, Best Original Screen, nominated for Original Screenplay, Original Score, Original Song, Sound Editing, and Sound Mixing. It lost a lot of stuff. It was also, this is the one thing I didn't know, it was not allowed to be screened in theaters in the People's Republic of China by Chinese authorities.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it because the technological implications? Was it the... they didn't want to bore their people to death in the first 45 minutes? What do you think it was, Jay?
We're taking a look. I'm seeing if I can translate this. Nope, it's giving me a Chinese news site that I am not allowed to translate. Thank you so much, Google Chrome.
That scares me because I always look at like particularly China and Japan, like they know more than we do. And I had that since I was a kid because like Japan always had the Nintendo games like a year before America did. You just heard these like rumors like, oh yeah, Super Mario 3, it's already out in Japan. It's like, what? And so I think that they know more than we do. And so maybe they saw WALL-E and they're like, hey, we're going to make Americans fat pod flyers and we're going to start testing that. And we can't let them know we're doing it. So don't let them see WALL-E.
I guess so. Yeah, that's probably I can't imagine there's a lot of fat Chinese people. I'm not sure in China.
No, I don't. I mean, if you're just looking, America is the fattest country in the world,
Which explains why everybody on the ship is portrayed to be American.
Yeah, maybe that's why. But it's kind of accurate.
Here's something I just found while I was looking for why WALL-E wasn't allowed to be screened in China. Unauthorized WALL-E robot restaurants are a hit in China. So there's a restaurant named WALL-E in China's Anhui province, and it is staffed by robots that look like Eve.
What?
Yeah, and they bring you your food.
I just imagine like that's like their version of Prohibition is like you go to this secret underground bar where you're watching like bootlegged copies of WALL-E. There's like gangsters like selling WALL-E DVDs on the street.
I mean, that's a good movie to bootleg. Oh, it also talks about pollution. Nobody likes pollution. Everybody hates pollution, especially in China, which is full of pollution, as we learned. So much smog.
Yeah, the pollution angle, I mean, it's one of those things that the current administration would probably just say that, well, it's a kid's movie and it's, it's not real or whatever. But but that's the thing is like WALL-E just puts it right up there in your face in a way that I don't think certainly kids might not even comprehend. But it's a scary harbinger of things to come for Earth.
Yeah.
Al Gore probably beat off watching that movie. He's like, see, this is what I'm talking about.
See, that's the thing. I think that this is probably, I do definitely remember when this movie came out, a lot of Fox News-esque pieces about like this movie's the libs saying that there's climate change and there's robots that are going to take over. And I definitely remember, Fox News played constantly on my house back when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So I remember seeing stories about this. This is definitely one of those like Hollywood hot button takes.
Damn it! Now you're making me really like WALL-E. Now I really appreciate what it did to the.
You gotta watch it again, man. It's a really good movie.
I will do that solid, J Light. I will watch WALL-E again.
The best, in my mind, the best Pixar movie in one of the great filmmaking achievements of 2008. Now, I know this is something that varies a lot between people. What would you say are your top Pixar movies? Let's just boil it down, make it simple, like top 3.
I think Toy Story 3 is definitely in there. I think an underrated Pixar movie to me is Ratatouille. It's not one of the ones that gets mentioned as like the great achievement, but Ratatouille is fantastic.
It really is.
It buries Fievel as far as like mouse or rats is. The rats and Nimp can't even compare with what we're doing with Ratatouille. There's been some really good recent Pixar movies. I put Coco way up there.
Was Coco Pixar?
Coco was Pixar, yeah. I would probably go.
I didn't see that.
I would probably actually say Coco is my favorite, and then Toy Story 3, and then I will throw Monsters Inc. maybe slightly ahead of The Incredibles because I love the concept in Monsters Inc.
I immediately mixed up Coco and Moana because Moana takes place on an island where there are cocoa nuts. That's how dumb I am.
Now we're back.
Brought
it back to nuts.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Can't stop talking about nuts on this podcast about children's movies.
What if this was like not only a radical format change for you, but you changed the name of the show to Jay Light is Nuts, and it's like
Cock Nutsing. That's what we're calling this podcast from now on.
You have a guest in here, and we see how quickly we can get off topic from a movie into just talking about some sort of nuts.
That's not. You know what? This is great brainstorming going on here on the podcast today. Well, now that we talked about a movie that you don't like.
Wait. Your top 3 Pixar movies.
Oh, my top 3 Pixar? Yeah. It's WALL-E number 1.
Gosh. Come on.
I'm going to go. Shit. See, I gotta rewatch some Pixar movies because I remember I really liked The Incredibles a lot, and I'm super excited for Incredibles 2. But I got to throw Toy Story 3 in there as one of the top 3.
Yeah, well, I mean, I like the other 2 Toy Story movies, just that they don't stand out as much to me as Toy Story 3.
Yeah.
There's just something else. There's a little something special about Toy Story 3.
Well, this is what I think, for me, a lot of times, I'll be watching a movie, and there's a moment when it will go, in my mind, from good to great.
Yeah.
And for WALL-E, that happens. There's a lot of moments that I was like, oh, this is a really great movie when I was watching WALL-E. The first time they go from Earth to space and seeing how disparate and how beautiful space was compared to how terrible Earth was, and the love story culmination, like I mentioned already.
Yeah, you can hang in there with Wally for that long, sure.
And in Toy Story 3, I think the moment where it goes from good to great is where they're all on the path to getting incinerated on the conveyor belt, and then all the toys hold hands.
Yeah, that's
the moment.
Even before I love the turn that you get, because we already have our suspicions about Ned Beatty as the evil bear.
Yep.
But when we meet him, he's like, this super nice bear, and we're like, wait a minute. And then when we get the actual like full reveal, it's pretty awesome.
It's really great. It's well done. And I still haven't seen Coco. I've heard great things about it. I got to see it. I haven't seen a handful of Pixar movies in most recent years. Let me even take a look.
Coco's an emotional journey.
Haven't seen a Pixar movie since Toy Story 3, so I got a lot of catching up to. I never saw
Finding
Inside
Dory.
Out, never saw Finding Dory, never saw Cars 2 or Cars 3 or Brave or Monsters University or The Good Dinosaur.
Inside Out is fantastic.
If I had seen Inside Out, I have a feeling it would be in that top 3. But for me, I'm going. It's that run of 2008 through 2010. It's WALL-E up Toy Story 3 for me, and Incredibles is just on the outside looking in. But
Okay.
Incredibles is a really really strong movie. I think that the sort of more mature themes that are explored in that movie are also really really good. I love. I love whoever I'm looking up right now who the villain is. Jason Lee. Oh God, Syndrome, such a great character as a villain. So good. I can't wait to see Incredibles 2.
Yeah, I took a date to see the first Incredibles movie in when it came out in 2004, because she really wanted to see the Incredibles and I really wanted to see the trailer that was attached to it was the first teaser for episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. And this is back when, trailers weren't online first. Like, you went to the theater to go see them. So I saw the trailer for Revenge of the Sith at the midnight showing of The Incredibles, and then she watched The Incredibles, and we were both happy with it. Same reason why I saw Monsters, Inc. in theaters first weekend is because the episode 2 teaser was attached.
There you go.
One of the better teasers in Star Wars history, because you just hear Darth Vader breathing, and you see images from the movie, you see Jango Fett blasting off. It is spectacular.
Yeah.
The movie,
is right. So now to wrap things up, we've talked about a movie that you hate for a good chunk of time. Is there a movie that you have seen recently that you would recommend to other people to go watch instead of watching WALL-E? Even though I will say everybody should go see WALL-E also.
Yeah, I mean, it's saying it with the knowledge that I now have to go home and watch WALL-E again, because you did such a good job reminding me. And look, I've known this for a while, Jay. I've known there's things in WALL-E that I probably would really respond to now, being a more well-rounded individual, a little more politically savvy than I was 10 years ago. So I've seen a bunch. I mean, for part of my gig is that I get to see movies, and I'm so lucky to do that, not having to sneak into theaters and getting to see all these press screens before movies come out. I really enjoyed Solo. If you're a Star Wars fan, you're going to get a lot out of it. It's not a great movie, but it's really good. Deadpool 2 is really, really good. It's so funny. And Infinity War is just, it's an amazing culmination of the last 10 years of the MCU, and those things. I didn't think it's the best MCU movie by any stretch of the imagination, but seeing all of these things, add up and build on each other, it's kind of like the MCU is just playing Jenga, and the tower still stands.
Yeah,
So that's what I recommend. Something that's a little more off the beaten path. You want to have your emotions moved to a different place that's really horrifying. There's a movie directed by Steven Soderbergh. He's not retired again. Called Unsane.
He shot that on an iPhone.
Shot the entire movie on an iPhone, and it's my literal nightmare. It's this woman who she's being stalked by this guy, or at least she thinks she is. And this started a couple of years ago, and then she's got a new job in a new place, and then she thinks she sees the guy again, so she has a consult with a therapist, and how can I get through this? Am I really seeing this guy or not? And they put some forms in front of her. She signs them. Next thing you know, before you leave, just come in this other room, because we just want to ask you some questions there. And she's like, okay, I got to get back to work. They're like, it'll only take a minute. And then she signed some more forms. And then next thing you know, she signed away her right to leave. And now she's stuck in this mental institution. And I am so afraid that that's going to happen to me someday.
Oh, God.
It's so good. Great thriller.
I'll have to give that a watch.
Check it out.
Mark, thanks so much for coming on today, man.
Thank you. And let's hear from the fan. People are going to kill me for not loving Wally, and I get that. I want to hear about the format change. Do you miss the first 40 episodes, or do you like coconuts with Jay Light?
Cocknutsing.
Cocknutsing. It sounds like the worst comedy club in a Holiday Inn on the road somewhere.
Yeah, this
Welcome
is
to
definitely
Cocknuts.
it's a name in Boise, Idaho. Hey, Cocknuts. The headlining this weekend, we got, I don't even know. We got the dude who played Screech. We got Dustin Diamond, everybody.
Every headliner at Cocknuts goes by some wacky name like Uncle something or Crazy Larry.
They got Gallagher 3 somehow. It's just another dude who figured out how to grow watermelons in the cold Idaho winter.
Yeah. That's it. Watermelons are essential. Watermelons and roller skates. It's the key to comedy, kids.
Yeah. Where can my listeners find your work?
Best way is just the social medias. It's all the same at Mark Ellis Live. It's where you can get tickets to upcoming show. It's going to be in New York City, headlining a run there in about a week, and then I'm doing a special show at Comic-Con as well. So
awesome.
See if I can work Wally. And I worked Wally into stand-up before. I talk about Up, so I like talking about movies on stage. It's fun.
Man, I've seen you do it. You do some real strong, some of my favorite pop culture related material. That Nintendo joke you do about the fountain.
You know what? I haven't dusted that off in a while, but I'm looking at all the new stuff I'm doing, and I'm like, okay, I got to go do an hour. Probably need to dust off that Nintendo.
Might be worth it. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram, jlightcomedy.com for show dates. Please leave a rating or review, because now this episode is shorter, so you have like a whole 20 to more minutes to take your time and leave a review and rating on iTunes.
Take your nuts out, put them on the computer.
Yeah, just write
See what happens.
Just write down nuts and leave 5 stars, and we'll climb the TV and film podcast rankings lickety split.
We're number 1 in the nuts category.
This has been another episode of Blockbusting. Guys, go see something good for a change.